how much money can a mixing engineer like me make a month? I can make anything from... Hey guys, I'm with Pro Beats, and in today's video I wanna answer some of your questions. Questions about mixing, mastering, money and life. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, let's get right into it. So the first question is from Peter: how to get that gritty air kind of vocal sound that's popular nowadays? Hey Peter, so most vocals nowadays get that grit and air from a combination of compressors, EQ and saturation. For airy vocals you can try out the vintage aural exciter plugin from Waves. That's a really popular choice to add shine to your vocals. Also you should try out the EQ section on CLA vocals, because I know a lot of mixing engineers are using it to boost the top end of the vocals. So those are just two options when it comes to achieving some really nice airy vocals. Next question is from Florin: how to start the marketing as an engineer after you learned the basic of mixing and mastering and you want to do money in this domain? I really suck at marketing, but the main thing you should focus on is networking and boosting your online presence. When I say networking, I mean just connect with like-minded people, with artists, and build relations. Those relations will get you money in the long run for sure. Also start giving away on social media some value. Nice pictures, tips and tricks, video tutorials, those have real value and people really appreciate that. Next question is: I find very difficult to find a similar song for reference. How do I do it? When it comes to reference songs, I only have two options. Go with the classics, the music you know and love, compare yourself to that, or go with the modern sound, the music it's popular nowadays. For both options you have Spotify or other streaming platforms that you can use to reference your tracks. For example, when I have time and I want to find new reference tracks, I just listen to the charts on Spotify. Pop charts or hip-hop charts. Room tour. This is not a question. The studio tour is out. I've posted the video a while ago, I think a couple of weeks ago. You can check that out. I will have a link to it somewhere. Another question, this one is from Instagram: how do you set the sends and insert on your track in the console to expand to the side? I think you're asking about the console in Studio One. It's really easy to expand the inserts and send. You have the option to select from multiple views: narrow or normal, small or large. You can see just the inserts on specific tracks, so the console view in Studio One is pretty flexible. The next question has been asked a few times, and it's about how to deal with harshness, the 1 to 4K range on vocals, or advice on how to mix harsh vocals. When it comes to mixing home recorded vocals, I have a video on that. I will have a link again somewhere in the cards. When it comes to dealing with harsh frequencies, you have a few different approaches that you can take. You can go with a multi-band compressor using a wide Q that controls that specific harsh range. You can go with a multi-band compressor but targeting just specific frequencies like 3K, 1K. I have a video on that and a few presets on my website for C6 with presets that are targeting some nasty frequencies in the vocal range. You can check those out on my website. Another way to deal with nasty frequencies with harshness is to use a regular EQ or a dynamic EQ. If the frequency is constant, playing most of the time, you can just use a regular EQ to cut that out, or use dynamic EQ in combination with the regular EQ to do the cut. Another option that you can use when it comes to dealing with harshness is the plugin called I have a few videos on that. It's a dynamic processor that I use all the time on vocal buses, but as technique you have to understand how and where to control that range. You can split the processing between multiple plugins before and after compression. That's pretty important because with compression you can change the tone of the vocals, you can bring the nasty frequencies back up, so you have to take that into consideration. A question from Luca: how to get wide vocals without losing focus, but not on trap vocals, on more classic vocals like boom bap. Wide vocals for boom bap. I would say that a combination of slap delay and doubling can work to achieve wide vocals without losing the focus. The secret is to use everything as a send and not as an insert, because you want to preserve the focus and power of the lead vocal. I hope that this helps. So slap delays and doublers. try it out. Another question from Instagram: how much money can a mixing engineer like me make a month? In my case, it really depends on the month and what type of projects I work on. Because I'm not mixing full time, I still have to make these videos and this takes a lot of time, so I can't take all the mixing or mastering projects that I would like. But to give you a rough estimate, I can make anything from 1k to a few grand a month if I'm willing to work my ass off and mix a lot of projects. So Didi asks about how SUT 2 and SPIF works. So SUT is a dynamic processor. It can be used in a lot of situations when you want to control certain frequencies. Use it to remove harshness in vocals, use it to remove mud in instruments, use it to control digital harshness in masters. So it's basically targeted compression with a lot of control. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube about SUT, so I would recommend watching a few, or even better, download the demo and experiment with it. You will get the hang of it pretty fast if you are taking a look at the presets. And SPIF is a plugin that deals with transients. You can add more attack or you can remove the attack of any given source. And it does this in a really clever way using a multi-band system, which is pretty awesome. Can you tell us why you began using more Outboard gear and how the experience has been so far? I started purchasing Outboard because it was a dream of mine. I wanted to feel and hear the difference with my own ears. My experience with Outboard gear is limited and it has its ups and downs. I love the sound, I love the feel, I hate the workflow, and I hate the cost of hardware. If I want to get things done really fast, I mix only in the box. If I have time and the budget, I like using Outboard gear. A really nice question from Alberto: how do you run your actual business? Do you have an LLC? Is everything PayPal or do you sometimes use cash? Okay, so I think this has to be a separate video of me talking about the business side of things. It's a big topic to cover. I do have a registered LLC here in my country. I do pay taxes. I do have an accountant. I have a VAT certificate, and since all my business is done online, I only use PayPal. I use cash only if I'm selling something physical, like a piece of hardware that I'm not using anymore. Having an LLC means that I need to have invoices for all my transactions. Like I said, I need to pay taxes, and I will cover everything in a separate video. Thanks for the question, Alberto. How to avoid over processing? This is a really good one, thanks Andres. The best way to avoid processing and using way too many plugins is to have good recordings. So if you're recording your own stuff, I would invest time and money to get it right at the beginning of the process. Then mixing will be a breeze. What a lot of the people fail to realize, myself included at some point, is that top engineers receive amazing vocal recordings, most of those recordings already compressed and EQ. If you're an artist, please invest in quality gear, quality microphones, quality preamps, quality audio interface, and learn how to record your stuff. That will improve the mixes by a lot, and when you already have a nice recording, fewer and fewer plugins, EQ, compression, reverb, delay, and maybe some vocal bus processing. And that's it. Luis with a tricky question: how to be happy? This one is pretty deep, I don't have the answer for it, but one thing comes in mind when I think about happiness, and that's balance. I try to keep things in balance, failing most of the time, but that's the goal. Balance work with quality time, money with peace of mind. Don't give up, just work on yourself, even though you don't feel happy at that time. Stay safe. I'm French, I love your tutorials for mixing, thanks. I'm Romanian and I love creating YouTube videos. How do you approach getting multiple, and I mean multiple, instruments occupying similar frequency ranges to fit nicely in a mix? Big production with lots of instrument and synth. Obviously EQ and multiband compression helps, but any other methods? One thing that I've been doing lately with great success, I think, is not to think about multiple instruments as individual elements. I just bus everything together into two buses, music 1 and music 2. I have that set up in my template and I start the processing there. Compression, EQ, saturation. Then if I need, I just make minor changes to individual tracks. And this workflow helps because you can group similar tracks, for example, pianos and strings. You can group synths, you can group pads together. You can go with more than two buses like I use. Using the buses allows me to achieve a more cohesive sound, allows me to carve the space out in a more efficient way. This is how I deal with bigger session. Busing is the secret. Would you ever review our mix mixes and give us feedback. At this point, I'm offering mix reviews and feedback to all the gold members here on YouTube via email, but if someone sends me an email asking for a piece of advice, I try and do my best to reply to every single one of you. Even on Instagram, even on Facebook, I get questions all the time. I try and reply to all of them, and I hope that I can help as many of you guys possible. I'm also thinking about doing a video series where you can send your mixes and I will review them. Another question about Mula: do you earn money only with doing music, or do you have a job as well? I do this full-time, YouTube mixing and mastering. Most of my income comes from it. This is something really serious for me, and this is my future and my career, so I need to dedicate 110% of my time and energy if I want to succeed. No other job for me, just YouTube mixing and mastering. I'm looking for more information on a technique that consists of automating the master volume to make the chorus have more impact. Do you know it? How much difference in dBs would you recommend? I already have a video on that topic, you will find the link. I usually don't go over 1 dB of volume automation on the master, but sometimes I do use other techniques like saturation, and I use it to boost just the hook of the song to give it more impact. I need a video on how to use Waves F6 to EQ trap vocals. Is it Waves tune worth buying? F6 is a really capable EQ. It has dynamic functions too, so you can use it in a similar way like I use Pro Q3 from FabFilter. And yes, Waves tune real time is worth buying. I use it sometimes when I need a different flavor of pitch correction. Do you use parallel EQ on vocals? If so, how do you use it? I do use aural exciter on vocals when I need a different kind of shine, because like you've mentioned, it also messes with the phase. It's not a bad thing. The secret is to keep it low in the mix. I actually like how it messes with the phase on the top end. It gives a really nice character to vocals. These were the questions for today. If you have other questions, please leave a comment below. I'm thinking of doing this on a regular basis. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe, hit the like button. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Stay safe and see you guys really soon. Cheers. Woo.